of what that actually entails. But increasingly, every time I know you go to conferences or conventions as elected officials, inevitably there'll be some track or some presentation related to the concept of collectively starting to aggregate and tie our data together for the sake of operating our municipalities and our infrastructure more efficiently and just being better at what we do, learning to use data to be better stewards of taxpayers' dollars in administering all types of different services. The RTC will be closely involved in following this as the MPO and as the administrators of Southern Nevada Strong, as a regional body in transit and transportation. We will be working closely with each one of your jurisdictions, each one of your entities, to start to collaborate, to figure out what type of data do we currently collect? How can we aggregate that, share that? How can we connect it? So that regardless of jurisdictional boundaries, we are a tighter-knit, more efficient community region overall. I'm going to share a video with you that's we found it on the internet. It's just kind of a 101, just an overview as to what smart communities could look like. And inevitably, each community will be different, will be our own unique community. We'll figure out what priorities are most important to us, what problems do we need to solve first, and we'll be doing that collaboratively and together as we figure this out. But I will share with you just kind of this 101 video on smart communities. overview of how everything has the ability to be connected as sensors become very prevalent throughout all of our infrastructure. We've started to have a kind of very organic, informal get-togethers with several different agencies in Southern Nevada. So each one of the jurisdictions here that represented here, as well as LVCVA, Water Authority, GOED, UNLV, UNR, we'll be including emergency response, so that we can start to figure out what type of data are we all currently collecting, and how can we leverage that to make us that much smarter.
Yeah, thank you. This is a wonderful presentation. It allows people to kind of have a 101 on what smart cities really is all about. And as we're planning for the future, the next 10, 15, 20 years, technology will change how we do business, create efficiencies. And so I think this is wonderful. It's probably good if we push this information out to local governments as well. So if we could get it to, maybe even put it on your Facebook page and post it, and we could all share it with our constituents as well.
Through you, Mr. Chairman and Madam Chair, Co-Chairwoman, in response, I know that at the mayoral level, we get at least 5 consultants a week trying. This has become the au courant, the newest game to get into, to make money, be consultants, and I just want to make sure that we're moving in a very structured manner so that we're not working against each other, but somehow almost visually an organizational chart. Because what we do at the city, everything goes through IT. When we get all these comments, I'm sure right here you get as many as we get. Of all these new consultants, it started back 4 or 5 years ago that we were getting the initial calls. We want to come in and be your consultants.
Your utopia. We'll create utopia for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no place is like Las Vegas. Right. But I think to get a handle on it early on and create a structure so that in Mesquite they're not doing something that ultimately has to be changed because Boulder City figured out a better way to do it. And so I just encourage, as you go in a smaller group first, at least create an intellectual organizational chart and then expand it as you get the input, because they're out there, they're hungry, they cost money, and it can cost us a fortune.
We agree. In fact, we've only had a couple informal meetings so far, but yes, everybody has emphasized that we don't want to go with a consultant. In fact, we don't even know that we need a consultant. We might be able to, we'll have a lot of conversations about what brainpower do we have right here, right now, to start to facilitate and structure a path moving forward.
Well, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, just one more comment, knowing that we're looking in the city at concepts of how drones can help us, even though it's not really transportation, and as we look regionally too, how can this benefit collaboratively in the region, not only within our state, but of course, we're tourist-based, so what is that going to do for us with the California, Phoenix, all of that? So it's just, this is an enormous, almost to the point, unless you've already done that, that you have one person assigned to be the stopgap on this.
Yeah, and we might get to that point where we recognize that maybe each agency needs to have that one point of contact that is then coordinates with
and so
if
we at the City of Las Vegas get a consultant calling, that we have this unique thing, and we've just done Who Cares Minneapolis, that we know that all we do is forward that, so that if Mayor Lee has that same call on his desk, he isn't wasting time and money and his staff time, that we know where to send that consultant. And I love consultant.
Commissioner.
Thank you. Very good points. We have to be more strategic than we generally have, and I like the idea that we don't need to compete with each other. We should really be gathering resources and figuring how we do this. As you build your informational team, I know that in the county, and I'm sure they're hitting the cities too, about the cell phone folks on locating on traffic lights. We probably need to have some of that type of expertise, because they're all looking for spots as well, and they're competing with each other. But perhaps we could reach out to Switch or some of those in that business, because the issue of sensors is very, very key. And I did not realize we're trying to work with Metro to put some new technology to help them out with gunshots and things. And we didn't realize, even in the northest area up the hill, we did not have enough sensor power to be able to draw down the cameras and the equipment that they needed. So that's in urban Las Vegas, let alone our rural areas. And so I think we have to look at the interconnectivity
Yeah.
of all of that. So where are we missing right now, so we know where those hot spots are,
Yeah.
so to speak. I was talking to Commissioner Kirkpatrick 4 years ago. I think they changed the law to allow for telemedicine. Sensors aren't there, so it's not working. So there's other things that we really should be cognizant of to see if we can see where there's gaps, maybe
Sure.
a gap analysis of some sort, and then you start to build your networking so that we're interconnected with each other.
So maybe an infrastructure, a mapping of existing infrastructure that we have in place and an inventory of
Right,
existing.
in anticipation of new technology that's going to come in. I mean, I accidentally finally downloaded music to my phone, but I've been trying to do that for a year, and I still don't know what I did, but it worked. But so you don't want me, but you want people that have that expertise. And I don't know that you need to get to a consultant level yet, but you really, I think we do need to see where are our gaps. It's no different than when we talk about food deserts, or we have deserts all over for all sorts of stuff out there. So maybe that's a place to start, and then we start looking at interconnectivity, anticipating parking plug-ins, and anticipating autonomous vehicles, and all those different things that are coming into play.
Love it.
When we
Yeah.
were recently back at the Smart Cities Conference, we heard from the fellow who was the head of the Smart Cities effort nationwide, and he was talking about how important it was to go out and do that needs assessment and gap analysis. He said, otherwise you're going into a community and putting in technology you may not need and may never use, and then you've paid for it. So it's important, first step is to go out and do that needs assessment. Yeah.
Okay, so great, thank you. We'll be coming back to you regularly with updates and soliciting feedback. We recognize right now probably our role as the RTC, the MPO of Southern Nevada Strong, is to start an educational effort, maybe host some symposiums, bring in some speakers, not consultants, but our peers from other states and agencies who are building this type of infrastructure, this type of collaboration, and ask them to share with us what's going on. So that way we have the ability to learn and kind of all get on the same page as to where we want to go. So with that, we will move on to the next agenda item. Oh, yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yeah.
So following on this intelligent discussion we're having, so as a mayor, am I hearing you say before we do anything, we should use you as a clearinghouse and send people to you as we start talking about regional opportunities for
I think
this?
this
Are you-
group, yeah, and so I think what I'm hearing is we need to kind of maybe, we're having organic meetings right now, we need to formalize more as to what this group looks like, who are the key people that probably are smarter than me personally, Tina Quigley, but the RTC is willing to host and organize and convene these people. But yes, I think that potentially it's a very good idea to have our regional smart people talking to each other about, is this right for Southern Nevada?
Okay. then-
Might I comment back to you when you conclude your comments and questions?
Yeah, I'm just going to announce right now that when I get these calls, I'm going to say we're working with the RTC on a regional plan.
You're welcome to do
You
that, and I
need
can
to call
convene that. Yeah, and I can work with Jennifer,
Fred
Judy, and
or
your team.
somebody, okay? That is going to be a great benefit to the
Isn't that
mayors,
nice
I
to
can
kind of
tell you.
take some of the burden, some of that decision-making burden, like there'll be more of a sense of calm if we know regionally we're making the right
You
decision.
know, we're not trying to do things to make money off our streetlights as much as protect them, to protect the asset, and then to move forward to add the connectivity. They always throw, this will make your city so much money. We're not in that for that reason. We're in for what you've just designed. Carolyn, Mayor Goodman, this is a great motion.
Thank you. Well, if I might, Mr. Chairman, just continue it for one more second, because I've seen things go on among the different entities as we go forward and spend some money on something. But in this new industry of IT, it is changing so rapidly. And if any one entity, be it Clark County, unincorporated Clark County, or any of us in the municipalities, begin to work and spend money independently, we are going to really regret it, because it is moving so quickly, changing and becoming. I had just had, was briefed yesterday by our Public Works Director, and was learning about that now those huge cell towers that I know Councilwoman Tarkanian and my Mayor Pro Tem hated because they look so ugly, and they tried to cover them with these phony looking branches that look like a tree. Well, what's happened now is all those big trees now have become diminutive. And so what it means is, as they've reduced in size, much like the original computers probably filled up this room and now we're down to this size, they need more density. So if any one of us is spending money, we're just throwing it away unless we're really cautious, understand this, and it's going to be antiquated. So I can't encourage it enough that there has to be a resource, or that we don't enter a contract, we, the cities or the unincorporated county, unless we've made sure the other municipalities and RTC, et cetera, are involved and have cleared.
Thank you.
Chairman?
Councilman.
Yes. Tina, doesn't this fit kind of into the Southern Nevada Strong framework, mission, objective?
It does, and that our role is to convene these conversations. And I want to make it really clear, the RTC will never be the deciding entity. It will always be a collaborative. Like this is a really big deal, and we will never, ever supersede the city's intents, but we will collaborate and bring those smart people together to make a wise decision for our entire community. Thank you, yes.
Commissioner.
Thank you. I was just going to mention that. I think it's a perfect fit for SNS, but I also think then we should maybe have some regular reports to the Regional Planning Coalition too, so that they're up to speed on what we're doing, because there may be some different folks that sit on each of those. I know that I'm chair right now of SNS, but I don't know, I think we're talking about maybe for bringing in a private sector, public, and reversing those roles maybe. But I think that that's another regional group that we should probably make sure that we're
Would you like
talking
us to do a presentation to them? We can put
Yeah.
something together. Okay.
I think that would get with Mario, I think, on that part of it.
Okay.
And then let's make sure our cities and county managers also are aware of it, because sometimes we as electeds forget to go back and report, hey, this is what's going on, just so it's on their radar. It would probably be helpful for.
Do you want, we could organize to get on each one of your agendas to do just a 5-minute presentation to.
Whatever works best. I'm not asking
Okay.
for more work. I'm just saying, if it's even in a meal, we brought this up at our meeting. Here's some of the discussion, just so it's on your radar. There will be this group, or if you want to do a presentation, that's fine too. I just don't want to make more work for people.
No, it's all right. That's our job. I mean, this is our job, is to educate and make sure that we are keeping everybody informed, so we never get too far out one way or the other.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
I was just going to say that we talked about having the smart cities, and we said the emphasis should be on the users. And the users may vary from government entity to government entity. But what we need to do, I feel, is have a point person at each government entity. So that person then can share the information, so we'll all be up to speed, no matter if we're in Boulder City or Las Vegas or someplace in the county. And some of what we use, and then we would have to share the information back so that the RTC would be aware also. I just think it's very important. Keep the eye on the user and make sure that each entity has an understanding of what's happening.
Noted.
And they know how, I mean, for example, in the city, the mayor knows how it would be best to do it in the city with a point person she might appoint, and then the same with the county. And even the mayor here, who looks so pretty today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
Mayor?
one more comment. You know, our residents lead regional lives, right? So they're across the valley, whether they're living in Henderson and working in the city of Las Vegas, or in the county, or living in the city of Las Vegas and coming to Henderson to work. So coordinating is so important because it's impacting the quality of their lives in our community.
And if I just might add, one of our biggest problems is communication. And so that's why we have to share it, but we have to share it with good communications so that we're all up to speed, and so we can keep up with all these consultants. Thank you.
No disparaging. There's some really great people out there that are consultants, so don't mean to be disparaging.
Check your email inbox.
Yeah. Any other
Great,
comments?
thank you.
Okay. With that,